Greetings and welcome from the woods. It is hot and tomorrow's going to get hotter. We're going to be peaking into the mid-90s tomorrow. Fortunately, I'm in a spot where I don't have to move and I can open my door the whole time. So hopefully we will survive and not completely melt and the van won't get excessively hot. But there we have it. How's everybody doing today? I remember to unmute everybody.
I'm doing pretty good. I got out, went around, got a haircut, picked up my new shoes.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a sore throat, so I might cough every now and again.
Oh.
I have no idea
doing,
what
Ivan?
I had that a few days ago, along with a ton of sneezing and stuffed up head.
Yeah.
My car's broke. It's a break. It's been giving me trouble. So
I can't meet you up there for barbecue then.
No, that stinks because I don't want to go up there.
So that's why you enlisted on the Galactica. Your car is broken.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I hinted on it last week on the news. We're gonna make a more official announcement here for the supporters. We're going to roll out some new things for you guys. I'm going to do short stories based on modern day tech issues and things. And we're going to be putting those up. So you have to be a supporter on any of the platforms. Of course, we have Think Life Media, which I don't really use right now, and I don't like it. I'll probably revamp that soon. We have Locals. We have Patreon at TOMM, and we have Subscribestar at Switch to Linux. Any of those supporter channels, we're going to have those on. So we're going to put those up as stories, but I'm also going to do an exclusive video reading it. For those that want to hear it rather than just read it, we'll do that. And then what I might do is for maybe for higher tier, we'll see how it goes on lower tiers first. I don't know. Maybe we'll move it up to higher tiers. Maybe we'll have a discussion about the issues in the video after we do the reading. So we do the reading, and then we would have people jump in the same way we do here and have discussion points about it. Maybe with some guests if I can find anybody that are more experts in the field. The first one that we are dealing with deals with modern day tech trying to be crammed inside of cars. And I had a hard time figuring out how do we actually do this in such a way that can really explain it without doing overly narrative job. And I think I took an interesting approach, but we'll go ahead and leave that alone for now. Now, what I'm going to do is, after about 1 year, I'm going to collect those stories. I'm going to publish them into a book, which should be, roughly 60,000 book with 10 to 12 short stories. We'll sell that, but for anybody in the upper supporter tiers, I will send you a copy if you want that, and we'll sign those if you're in U.S., or I'll have to figure out the shipping is. I know last time I had to ship books internationally, it's like $40 to ship. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but we can get signed copies of those books out as well. So I have the first story is by word count over halfway done, although I'm still only on section 2 out of 5. So it might be longer. We might have 75,000 word novel by the end here. And I am going to put the original Lockdown is going to show up in there. I'm going to use that as a reserve story. I'm trying to write a couple and have a few in the hopper so we never miss one. So I'm going to shoot for like the 15th or so of the month to roll that up so you guys can read and comment on that on all the different supporter sites. And then you can jump in for a live stream and we'll discuss the topic on an exclusive stream. And we're talking exclusive. You got to be a supporter to watch the stream as well. So that's kind of what I have in mind as a new supporter tier. We might also reactivate the writing channel, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be reactivating the travel channel. The reason is I just got back from the writers conference, and I was actually teaching video platforms, so I got a chance to dive in and look at the statistics on all my channels. That writing channel still pulls in 10 times the views of the Christian channel that I update every single week, like multiple times a week. There's a huge audience for that. I spent a lot of my spare time talking about websites and other publishing and writing tips and stuff like that. And so we might reactivate that channel and include that. Of course, people in that channel, the science fiction stories would actually appeal to audiences on both the channels. So that's kind of what I have in mind going forward. And so stay tuned for that. And the first story should be up here soon. I'm hoping to finish the first draft on Saturday, or early next week. So we'll get that ready and get it posted. And then after that, we'll give it maybe, I don't know, a week or so, and then we'll do an exclusive live stream on it. So that's what we have going on right there. Any thoughts you guys have watching? I know I've asked these guys that are joining these what type of things, and every one of these guys are just like, yeah, I just like this. Not helpful. But Tech Haberdash actually had some thoughts. He's like, yeah, you should do something like this. And I was mentioning the short stories because I've been writing some articles that are tangential to tech for a Christian periodical that covers technology and cultural issues in our day. And after doing a few of those articles and talking to some other people, like definitely with the audience, with the writing, and the technology channel, doing something in tech for the exclusive for the patrons would be a really good thing to do. So we'll go ahead and start rolling that out soon. So stay tuned for that if you're not a supporter over there. All those supporter links are in the description of the videos, so you can have a look over there. All right, that's enough for the intros there. Hopefully the sun doesn't get too far in the way of the camera, but right now it looks all right. I also did some modifications on the lighting. I'm actually happy with it. I made a few changes in that I used to have this big sheet that covered the front light bars, which are excessively too bright. I got rid of that and put closer sheets on them instead, so I don't have this giant thing in my way, but it meant dimming out my ring light, which is starting to die. So I ordered a new light that hopefully we can set it right and not have to mess with it every single time I turn it on, and it's battery powered instead. Hopefully the battery power lasts, because I got, where'd that other thing go? I think it's around the corner here. Oh no, it's up here. My regular light thing is complete hot garbage. The battery doesn't last more than 20 minutes anymore. So hopefully it's better than that, but we'll see. So anyway, hopefully the lighting is slightly more improved in the past as we keep on rolling things up. So
it looks nice with the woodsy background behind you.
It does.
Yeah.
I wish I could always film it with a nice woodsy background. Unfortunately, I can't always do that for a variety of different reasons. But where I'm at right here, I can. And I love it because it is hot. And if I had to close that and shut down that fan, I'd be melting and sweating by the end. I know. I recorded the Christian video for 9 o'clock today, and I was about to die at the end. I looked like I was about to melt or something. So anyway,
you could do what the some of the TV studios do, especially in the news desk. They have this big screen on the back where they roll playback of various activities. I mean, you could film that.
I could green screen it. Yeah, I could absolutely green screen woods behind me if you guys want to see that. I don't mind. Because I have two sheets for the back. One of them is white to reflect just basic light, and one of them is green screen. And I could actually put a green screen up there without a huge amount of hassle. It's what I do for Friday, so.
I remember a news report in Norway 7-8 years ago around that. Something was happening in Paris, I think, or in Europe at least, and the correspondent, the Europe correspondent of the Norwegian news station was in Paris to report, and he was live from one of the big streets of Paris. And while he was talking live on air, it turned out that he was standing in front of a TV screen who turned itself off.
Oh, it's kind of like my light up here. It turns itself off. I actually opened it up today to see if, can I disconnect the battery, see what the deal is there. Nope, this stupid thing is so garbage. They welded the battery, or they soldered the battery onto the thing. So it's like I can't pull it off. Let me get the brand name of it. So you guys know, never buy it.
This is your save your money section.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
hope it's not
actually
too
have
bad.
it mounted. I have it mounted up pretty high. All right, so this is a DigiPower, and it's a RGB light bar, so it works out nice. It's got like the security police mode too. It's got the regular light, so there's that. The problem is that the battery seems to have a problem with it. Where right now, if I turn it on, it actually tells me that I have 7.3 hours of battery, and this will die. If I were to leave it on sitting over here, it would die within about 20 minutes. And so, but the battery's all soldered on, so I don't have really any recourse to fix it. So don't buy that. I bought it for about $100 or $150 at Best Buy, and I bought it 18 months ago, and it already does not work. So, I mean, I could use it for short-term video, short-term white lighting. I could probably use it if this ring lamp up here dies out. I could probably use it to replace that ring lamp in the short term, although it'd probably die before I get a good video out. So hopefully the new one I ordered is good. It looks like a good professional grid system. We'll see how it goes. And if it looks really good, you can link them together for panels of lights. And if it looks really good, I can buy more, and they're like $20 each. So, but they're not RGB though. They're various spectrum of white. But that's all I need. I just need something, because if I turn the ring light off up here, and I don't even know if I want to try that because it might die on me. Let's see. Yeah, if I turn the ring light off, it looks like that. And the problem is the main studio lighting that I have, the warmest I could find is 8K, which is about as cool of lights as you can find. And so I need something to balance the warm. And so that gives you a nice warm balance.
Right
so
now,
that's
you
what I
really
just
don't need any light. It barely shows any difference.
No, this one definitely looks a lot warmer. Well, for you guys watching on Jitsi, you're on a Logitech camera, but for the people on the professional camera, huge difference.
It is better with that light on.
All right, let me scan the comments real quick and see if there's anything quick. If not, we might just cover all the comments at the end. We're 15 minutes in. We haven't started our topic yet. We got to start our topic, so let's go ahead and do that. We got 13 over on ZTubies. We got 20 over on Odyssey. We got 5 on Rumble. We got 2 over there on Twitch. The Whipped Llama. Hi, Winamp. 87 here in Michigan. All right. And Die Master. Hey, Die Master. I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going, man? For the storybooks, why not make it an ebook and send it digitally? It'll be ebook, audiobook, and print book. But yes, I will. All the supporters, yes, will be able to get an ebook. At least the higher supporters. And then if you want the print copy, I can send that out for the highest level supporters. Have not seen any activity on The Lost Stepchild in like several months now. I should just maybe stop streaming to it. I don't know. Maybe somebody's jumping on and watching. Who knows? Anyway, let's get to our topic. So I wanted to talk about being dumbed down by walled gardens. I don't have any links or anything. I just wanted to talk and have a chat and conversation. And I know somebody had recommended I give a brief outline of what I want to mention. Hopefully this worked for you. I sent out an outline today. Hopefully it worked. Keep us somewhat on track. And so I had 2 things that happened in the last week and a half that caused me to want to talk about this. The first was I'm working on an e-commerce site for a musician, and I spent hours getting all of their MP3s. You can buy the MP3 full albums, or you can buy individual MP3s. Every song, they got like over 100 songs. And then they got people buying stuff like, how do I play it? It's like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, okay, here's a guide on how to get it. But the problem is, like, on Android, if you just download an MP3, on Android knows what to do with that generally. It'll at least appear, and if you're using a stock music app, it'll usually appear. Or it will prompt you to what app would you like to use to open it. Basic MIME typing Android has in effect. iPhone doesn't have any such thing. You can't just download an MP3 and have it in your iTunes library. You actually completely have to sync your phone with iTunes. Now, I wanted to talk about that type of stuff. Like, how do you use these different files on a walled garden? And if things get even worse, how do we do it? Which we know they're trying to make it worse, because they're trying to make it so that Nobody owns anything. You have to be using their forms of apps. And so this is where we got into the idea of the requirement for apps. Of course, apps would be equivalent to the computer programs. But what has happened is in our cloud and our walled garden infrastructure, we have completely lost focus that there's these things called files and these things called applications, and you feed the files into the applications to cause the result. The second thing that happened this week, as I just got back from the camp, as you know, and one of the things that I've always volunteered to do for the last 5 years I've been going there is I will collect all the photos. I will filter out the bad ones, the blurry ones, the ones with fingers in the camera lines. I will assemble a slideshow, and then I will get the photos up. Of course, since everybody's scattered all over the place, this means servers. I was very pleased that our camp director's like, hey, we're going to avoid Google if at all possible. Victory! All right, how do I get these guys up in a secure method? Because we have several gigabytes of pictures of kids. How do we manage this in a secure way? Well, I said, I would like to password protect them. The problem is, most of you, I think Apple can open a password protected archive. Windows can't. I had a friend of mine that was shanghaied into Windows 11 for work applications and things. And so I said, hey, here's the file. Can you open this? He's like, with 7-zip, yes. Like, oh. So I said, I sent back to the director and I said, well, we can get it up on a server. And do you think it's enough that people would probably have to use like 7-zip to extract it? And we're like, we don't know. We don't know, because people they have lost if a computer, you don't just click it and it just happens exactly as you want. We've lost this ability to do anything, and then our brain shuts down. We don't even realize we have this thing. I'm sorry, I'm going to use the word just because the normies use it, Google, to look up any problem you can ever possibly want to look up, but people don't want to do that. Okay. And so we've become dumbed down. Well, they say this is the most computer savvy generation. I think this is a generation of technological ignoramuses, because if you don't point and click and it does what you expect it to do, you're like, I'm lost. And despite you have more references, when I got my first computer and the graphics weren't working, I didn't have the thing called the internet to get on and figure it out. I had to figure it out myself. And that's the thing. So with that as the introduction, what fun stories or commentary would you guys have to mention here?
I would say that the time of the most computer literate generations was 20 years ago, when before Microsoft Messenger came around, and just before ICQ got popular. Everyone used IRC to communicate because it worked and everyone knew how to connect. And many people used IRC to download music from other people, and they knew how to go around fixing problems. And whereas now, if it doesn't work the proper way the first time, then it's broken, and buy a new one.
Yep.
With iPhones, I agree. It's
Dan.
kind of a real trick to deal with. What Apple wants you to do is the stuff that you acquire and stuff like that, they want you to put it up in their cloud. They don't want you to store it on your computer. So if you need to actually recover a song or something like that, you go to the cloud. However, Apple does have some applications that work along with iTunes to undermine some of this. Like VLC is one of them. When you connect your phone to Windows and open up iTunes, you'll get a VLC, and I think it's in the apps section of the program. You'll get a VLC icon, and you click on the icon, and it'll have a VLC sandbox. Everything that's playable for VLC is in its own sandbox. And the FLAC music player is the same way. So
yeah, go ahead.
You can circumvent some of this stuff with some things people have come out with to get around it.
Yeah, I used when I had an iPhone after I retired my iPhone and it was used as an alarm and a music player. I used VLC. Of course, anything you put in VLC, you can't play on the built-in music player. Anything you put on a built-in music player, you can't play on VLC.
Well, they've wrecked the built-in music player. They've turned it into iTV, this, and
it's
that.
Garbage. It's garbage.
And
Yeah.
it's garbage, and that's what forces you to go out and look for other players like FLAC with a Q on the end, VLC, and some other good ones.
Absolutely.
And then they had you could get the NORAD weather radar app. Well, they went totally bananas and decided they want you to pay for their app. They renamed it. They forced you to stop using the old one. Now they want you to pay you to see weather radar.
Yeah, isn't that great? You need to pay us in order to see if a tornado is coming for your house. Great.
Right.
I just use a web browser.
Yeah, I use windy.com with a web browser.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I use Weather Channel for basic stuff. I use windy.com as well. I use both when I'm checking weather as I'm navigating around the world. Ivan, any initial thoughts or comments?
Yeah, these walled garden things and stuff like that. It's like I see where some of these folks are coming from, to being like, it's like we have everything you need, all the files you need, everything like that. We'll host it here for you. Take that part of it off of your plate so you don't have to worry about it. And I can see the intention there. But then at the same time, you get folks like us, and myself included, to be like, that's all well and good. But, when you run into a problem or something, let's figure out the other way to do it so that I can control a copy of it here. And, it seems like it's a double-edged sword in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's bad. And, but then when I'm just waiting for the day when corporation, whatever, comes out and says, we're going to hold all the data and that's it. You can't have a copy. Oh, let me think. DRM sound like that much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just remember the other thing I was in my notes too. I forgot about it. No, I need to look at my notes more. The other thing that this one has more to do with the cloud infrastructure and how we're pushing that on people. One of the books I was writing with a co-author, and he was still in high school at the time, and we'd meet up like a couple times a week and work on writing stuff out. And he, of course, I did the bulk of the book, and he did a series of essays throughout it. And so, but he's working on a computer. I'm working on a computer. I'm like, did you save it? Like, save? What's that mean? Like, yeah, that's the thing, is that the cloud infrastructure system, you don't need to remember to save your Google Doc. It saves it for you.
Yeah, now that the modern games they got that come out that you play on your computer or the Xbox or whatever, they auto save like every 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah. And so you don't think about saving, you don't think about how files work, and we've lost this idea to understand that there's applications and there's files, and that different systems have different ways of getting the applications and the files together. So with that, I just kind of threw out some points. The first point, of course, was we already introduced a little bit of iPhones and iPads. They created a walled garden. They have locked things down so that there's no classic MIME types. So the MIME types is a file extension system for internet, and I forget exactly what it stands for, but it'll basically, as you download a file, it will redirect that file to where it goes. Well, Android deals with that. I don't think, unless iPhone has made some changes, I don't think it does. Although iPhone does now have some form of crude file manager in it, but I don't think it's necessarily one that's going to help you. It's like, it's not going to give you the ability to download an MP3 and drop it into a music folder and automatically have it appear in your iTunes.
There's a program, and I think it's called Folder Plus.
Okay, and is that an app for the phone?
It's an app for the phone, okay. and you get an app that you put in Windows.
So you still have to sync the phone with the Windows computer, though.
Yeah, but you use the Folder Plus app, not iTunes.
Okay, so it's just an alternative way of doing it. It's just a way to do the same thing, syncing with the app instead of with iTunes?
What you do is you actually I haven't used it in a while. Where is it? Well, like I got some of Tom's books and stuff in there too, Folder Plus will play MP3s.
Oh, it will. Okay, good.
Yes, it'll also play some video.
Okay.
I don't know.
So when you click an MP3, does the Folder Plus have an MP3 player embedded into it, or does it load?
Yes, it's embedded into it. You just get a slide bar that pops up at the bottom of the files.
Okay.
But Folder Plus, actually, you install it. It makes its own part in the phone. The Folder Plus Windows app is a standalone app that goes right to the Windows Plus in your phone without iTunes.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so that's a way you do it. Now, can you download something from the internet and then manipulate that file with Folder Plus? So if I were to have a direct link for an MP3 download and I downloaded that, could I then play that file through there, or would I still have to sync that through the program?
You probably would have to download it to your computer and then use the Folder Plus app to transfer it to the Folder Plus system in your phone.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the walled garden that we're talking about.
This works on many occasions too, because you can use just regular text files, pictures, and you can put a lot of stuff in this thing, and in some cases it's pretty functional.
Okay, so there's a unified system, although you still need to sync it. Is there a good way to handle zip archives in iPhone or not?
I haven't really had to deal with that myself because I've never gone there. I
don't know if anybody else knows anything on that.
I don't. I've never come across it.
Yeah, I'm not. I know Salbu doesn't have an iPhone. May not know much about it.
If I have to unzip something in a phone, I really don't need that phone.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions, though, because the client who purchased an MP3 just paid money for the MP3. Why isn't it automatically in my iTunes library? It's like,
if you bought it from iTunes, it should be.
No, that's the problem. They're not, because we're building a website for the client to sell their music. So our client has the music on Bandcamp. The problem is not everyone wants to buy it on Bandcamp. I haven't investigated selling it on iTunes. We should probably look into that. That might be a direction we go.
The iTunes app itself has the ability, because all the stuff that's sold on iTunes as far as music goes is its own Apple format.
Correct.
However, iTunes will allow you to convert it to an MP3.
Yeah, the problem is that we have an independent website selling music on, and somebody buys something. The website works perfectly fine on mobile, but then you download a zip archive. Well, how do you handle it? iPhone, I have no idea. Android, I think Android will extract in some cases. And Android's pretty easy. You just download it, and it's like, hey, would you like to open this with a music player? Sure. And then it'll appear in your library.
Well, let me see in the store if they have an app for unzipping stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. And maybe somebody in the comments will have something in there as well. So maybe someone will tell us in the comments, and we'll get to those by the end. So let's move on to the next part, of course. The other file format is EPUB. Of course, I sell all of my books DRM free as EPUB format. My zip archive also contains a Mobi, which maybe I need to stop distributing that, because Amazon now will use EPUB if you want to send something to your Kindle device, you can now send them an EPUB. And they're actually phasing out the Mobi in favor of a new format. But if you want to buy one of my ebooks in EPUB format, you just buy it, and there's a number of different applications. I can't remember. I think you can actually just download a EPUB file, and iPhone will know what to do with that, because the iBooks app on iPhone is actually competent. I did find that to be a decent phone. I remember when I was testing stuff with an iPad, I was actually able to get the books into there with just clicking the link. So I think that works. Of course, there's ODT files. I just had to install an app on my main production phone, because the conference director sent us a file of instructions for things we were teaching and stuff, and I think she sent it as a docx. I'm like, how do I open this guy? And I found an app for that in F-Droid, of course. So that worked. All right, Dan, you have something?
The Apple Store does have as a first choice Dropbox CL. There's a choice called unzip-zip F something. It does
Dropbox.dl probably works with a Dropbox account, right?
I would have to actually dig into it even deeper. But there's an awful lot of other apps to unzip -zip. It does zip files, rare files, and 7 zip files.
Yeah, and then I wonder what do you do with them after you've unzipped them on an iPhone, because you can't just
zip you.
I'll zip you, man.
WinZip. WinZip is available. It does this rare and zips. And some of these got some pretty good ratings. But,
the next line item in my notes was the iPhone and the iPad really require a computer for the average user to sideload content. I think I did stumble upon a way of a few advanced methods you might be able to work, but for the most part, whether you're using the Folder Plus or you're using iTunes, anytime you're manipulating files to get them to work with an iPhone, you generally have to use a computer to sync it. And this is the concern. iPhone right now is probably the only major walled garden. Android is not as much of a walled garden. I don't think Samsung is. I did look into it, and Microsoft still insists Windows will not become a walled garden, but I don't know. That may or may not be true.
It will.
Road Vagabond Life says, screw Dropbox. Years ago, they deleted MP3 files I'd store there because of copyright issues. Yeah, that's garbage. They shouldn't even be looking at your files. Yeah. That's why I fired that accountant in a hot second. As soon as he's like,
for an iPhone and all its problems, I've had this thing since 2017, and it hasn't even asked for a battery or a screen.
Yeah, I mean, Apple. The big advantage of Apple is things tend to work on their hardware is decent unless you get one of the Louis Rossmann repair specials. Yeah.
Right. I just happened to the iPhone 7 happened to be a really rock solid phone. So then they based the iPhone SE off the 7 as they went forward for an optional phone.
Yeah.
But to go this long and not need a battery, and I can talk to my cousin for 3 hours without it going dead. I just long for devices that have batteries that work. Yes.
You pay $150 for an RGB light system.
Well, suppose you pay I pay like $700 for this phone. And if the battery only lasted a year, I would be furious.
That's a phone, though. This is a light.
There's also another caveat with this phone. I have it one version back from the last version they released that will work on this phone for firmware.
Yeah.
If you put the newest one in it, the battery will crash right to 0 by the end of the day. All on its own.
Yeah. All right. Cloud model of life and applications are removing our understanding of files as files. In other words, we have to understand that there's different applications, and the applications requires files. Well, you think about this because it's think about password managers, right? You should be using a password manager, not necessarily a sticky pad. Although I think a sticky pad might actually be a little bit more secure these days, as long as you don't get robbed. Better to have it not on the computer at all. But that being said, if you're running a password manager, we're using stuff in the cloud like LastPass. There's no file for that. It's all just on their database. It's on their servers. The reality is there is a file. It's a database file attached to your account. But if I say you shouldn't be putting your passwords in the cloud, you need to use KeePass XC, it doesn't cross your mind there's a file that goes with that. So there's a file, the KeePass file that goes with that. And that file can be used on a variety of different applications. You can take that file from KeePass XC, and though they don't have an official app for iPhone or Android, there are several apps that can read that file because it's an open source format. And so you can get that. So we don't think about this. Your password's in the cloud. You don't think of a password file. But if you're running KeePass like you probably should be doing, now you have a file associated with the application.
If it's not
your
encrypted, you
MP3s,
can probably read it with a hex editor.
yeah. Well, think about your ebooks, right? If you have a Kindle, you're not supposed to, because of the user friendliness of Kindle, you're not supposed to have to think that there's actually files. You just say, oh, I have a Kindle, and the Kindle has books and books and books on it, but it doesn't cross your mind that these are files, and that these files are the things that are actually giving you access to the data. And so, but if you're using Calibri to manage your ebooks like you should be doing for better privacy and security of your books, to make sure nobody's going to change them silently, and I wrote an article on that, then you have to start thinking of the fact that I have all of these files being managed by Calibri, the application that is managing my list of ebook files. But the modern way of doing computers and cloud computing takes away from our ability to do such things. And that's
the biggest proponents of this is the Chromebooks, where you're only supposed to have a web browser and that's it.
Yeah, and then where do you put all your files? Like, oh, you want it all in Google Docs. I remember my cousin used to be the manager of a newspaper, and so they ordered a bunch of Chromebooks for their guys in the field. This is like when they were brand new. They give them like, these don't work without the internet? Pfft, screw that. Send them all back to the company. Like, why would you sell a computer that doesn't work without the internet?
Yeah, it's like, do you guys remember the Net Appliance like 15 years ago or something like that? Basically, I'm basically calling it the first generation of the Chromebook, because it was a desktop PC that only did what the Chromebook does today.
I remember having some of the early netbooks that predated the Chromebooks. I ordered like 30 of them for the chemistry department when I was running it down there. And because these were tiny little netbook things with Atom processors, we were using them to connect into to Pascal data measurement systems. And it was like before good computer intranet structures. And then, so everyone's using flash drives. It's right after flash drives show up, right before big networking stuff shows up. So all the students are constantly doing flash drives. After every single class, I had to boot every one of those stupid things on and kill the malware that was spreading through the college with the flash drives.
I remember 2018 or 2017. On the there's on category 5 TV Canadian tech oriented network. One of their hosts, she had a computer that was a few years old. It was fine. It did all that she wanted it to do, and she around that time it came on. Alternative to Chromebooks, it was called the Cloud Ready, which did the same. And I think you could choose a variety of different web services that you could use in order to connect this thing to. And then she, right about the time when the pandemic happened, the opportunity presented itself for she and her husband to move to across Canada to Nova Scotia in order to take care of her father or his father. I don't remember which one. And to a place where there is a very bad internet, and here she is using a computer who is dependent on the internet in order to work. And then using those systems. Apple was first in pioneering this with the iPhone, where yes, you did things initially locally at your phone, but you didn't call them files, and you didn't call anything applications. Everything was called an app. There was not apparently there was not a single program on your phone. You had the you had apps, as if that is some magically different thing.
I think the word app happened to just come along when the phone was developed to the point where it would do internet work.
Yeah, I kind of hate the word app, which has taken over everything.
We used to call programs for computers.
Yeah.
And then for phones, it became apps. Then the app terminology took over everything, which almost makes sense anymore because everything's all pre-packaged together with your flat pack apps and your snap apps and your app image apps and, you know.
App.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else in my notes there. So that was kind of my rant for the day. I think that we have been dumbed down a lot. We have forgotten how basic computer systems work. We've forgotten files and that we can do basic research. Okay, if I buy an MP3, how do I get this onto an iPhone? You know, what you'd think would be basic, but the problem that we have is since everybody's trying to make everything just work with a point of a click. Anytime you get something that slightly deviates from the pattern, which usually means you're owning something instead of licensing it, you know, then you have that. So that's kind of my thoughts. If there's any other final comments, or should we just have a look over?
Yeah, I remember when Windows 95 came around. I had I used Windows 3.11 at the time. And most of my work, most of the things I did, I used plain DOS in order to do things. But some programs you needed to run in Windows, so I had the Windows 3.1 installed, and then Windows 95 came around, and all the known file types were hidden. You no longer had the application .exe. You just had they just dropped the exe. And
they didn't do that by default until it was either Vista or 7.
Oh no! They did. Windows 95 came with that, and it was enabled.
You had the ability to disable that, but by default, they never disabled the application extensions until it was either 7 or Vista. I think it was 7.
No,
out of the box. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember maybe it was different in different markets. But
that is possible. Yeah.
Here in Norway. The known file types were hidden by default. You could go into settings and uncheck that, but so it's been slowly creeping up, removing like from memory of people.
Yeah, because I recall seeing starting around when Windows 7 came out, it started becoming a security tip is to go in and re-enable that because they had started rolling out those changes. So yeah, it's probably was different in your country, but here in America, I believe that started it was either Vista or 7, because it's like the problem is someone would email you an extension like myvirus.exe.
Yeah.
And then to make sure you saw it, they would do myvirus.exe. PDF or whatever else, just to hide what it was, or they do .pdf.exe, and then the operating system would hide the .exe, and you think you're opening a PDF, but you're really opening an exe.
And they still do that today to a certain extent. Even it's very few amounts compared to the volume, but some actors still do this.
Yeah, Instigators is agreeing with you. You had to tell Windows 95 to show the extensions. I did not have that experience. From 95 to XP in the United States, at least. I'm not sure if Instigator for US or not. I have never had file extensions hidden until.
Yeah, I remember fighting this feature ever since Windows 95 came out. So every time I had to reinstall for some reason, I have to undo this every time.
Yeah. On somewhat related note, somebody gave pushback on the Nobera video, saying I stopped watching after 2 minutes because he said wine causes malware to run. I'm pretty sure it does, because you have a .exe. If you execute a .exe, it will start a wine instance.
Yeah,
I believe now Wine actually builds sandboxes for
it does, but it depends on what the thing is doing.
Yeah, and which is why I refuse to have Wine installed on my systems.
Yeah. I mean, unless if you specifically know you need it or you have a specific reason, go for it all the day long. The problem is not everybody has, but Instigator is agreeing with you and disagreeing with me on that from United States. So okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. Okay.
Maybe
I will.
there is the possibility that you had a version that was customized in some way.
Yeah.
Where, they could change defaults.
I ran. I think the computers that I ran were standard OEM 95, standard OEM 98, and my XP system was from Gateway. That's how old that computer was. Of course, it was XP. So, but the other ones, 7 and stuff, I bought those at like Best Buy and stuff like that. All right, let's go ahead and have a look at our comments. I did just check Matrix a minute ago, and the only ones on there were Salbu and Ivan, and they're both here on the live chat. So, Strawberry's kind of in there, but not commenting. Hi, Strawberry, over in the live chat section. All right, so let's we'll go ahead and check up the Odyssey comments. Looking forward to the video. Sorry I missed the live stream based on the title. Question my gut reaction, absolutely, but everybody takes the same level of intentionality. Very true. Okay. Dumbed down in many ways. Speaking of dumbed down, sorry people accuse you of being Linus Tech Tip's wife on Matrix. What? The Anchorage? Wow, you're looking great for a dude's wife. Why are you a trans?
Oh.
All right. No, I don't think that Switch to Linux community attracts the attention of Linus Tech Tips. Apparently, I can make people mad all over. Oh boy,
Wouldn't that be interesting if Linus, if he because he is very public in that there is only a handful of channels that he follows throughout the week. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be interesting if your channel was one of the few that
That would be. I don't quite see that happening, but maybe he's watching bad YouTubers or YouTubers that refuse to grow or something. I don't know. I can't get into it because I can't join the regular model of YouTube of being like, all right, exactly 2 minutes into the video, just like all the sponsors want, I'm going to enter a 2-minute ad. No.
Yeah, and he also adds an ad at the end of every video.
Lord.
So it's like, okay, you say at the beginning, okay, let's hear from our sponsor, and then at the end you say, okay, let's hear from our sponsor, and I'm like,
yeah, but he is specifically defining an ad as YouTube inserting an ad into the video.
Right. Yeah.
Which
no.
It's
like Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I wasn't talking about Linus. But I'm just the people who are having sponsorships and then putting in an ad, like a created ad for whoever's sponsoring the video, and then doing a little bit of content, doing another ad. With like 30 or 40% of the video is an ad, and we're not talking about the YouTube inserted ones. Which just add even more ads. Basically, you end up doing a whole lot. What Mint Mobile plan do you have for phone and internet on the road? And Ridiculous is a new Patreon supporter too. Thank you for supporting up there. So Mint Mobile, I just have the lowest tier, which I think is 5 gigabytes now. I don't even come close to using 2 usually. Although I could use it a little bit more if I needed to. But I do actually have systems where I can borrow the internet from a nearby store and feed my network. But my primary internet in the van, the one we're streaming to right here, is actually a Verizon. At the time, Verizon was the only company I knew of that supports my IoT modem. However, there are a few other companies out there. I thought about there's a company that I could pay like an extra $30 a month and have twice the bandwidth. The problem is I only come close to the bandwidth a couple times a year, and I'd rather keep the extra $30 right now. In the future, I might do that. But so that is, I'm using an LX40 Airlink IoT modem, same type of modem you'd have like an ATM machine, which connects to a cellular card, and then I just toggle the thing on. And the reason I like that over like Starlink and stuff is my modem takes 1 amp of power, whereas a Starlink takes like 15.
Nice. Tom's van is a rolling ATM machine.
It is. It is. At least it has the infra network. So one of my clients actually sells the commercial grade stuff for things like that, like the Zebra inventory systems, if you've ever used those at stores and stuff like that. So I was like putting this together. I'm like, hey, you sell this kind of stuff. What do you got? And he's like, I got this IoT modem for ATM machines. I'm like, I'll take it. They're like $300. They're hard to get support on. I originally tried like a prepaid Verizon. It didn't work. I was able to get it working with a Verizon corporate store. However, it did appear on the supported modem list of it's a new company called Bix Wireless out of I think they're either Nashville or Knoxville, somewhere in Tennessee. So I don't know, I might upgrade to that in the future. Right now I don't. Let's see. Time for OSS advocates to start evangelizing Nextcloud to the normies. Yeah, I should do more Nextcloud tutorials. I do have a new server built on VirtualMin, so I've been testing a few things over there. So I set up another Open Analytics account for my publishing group. And I got that actually installed. On PHP 8, I did have to supply a configuration file that was pre-built. That seems to be what the problem is with why Open Analytics will not install on PHP 8, but it seems to work. I haven't installed the plugin, the site yet, so we'll do that. But I do have a giant server over there. It can support unlimited amounts of stuff. I'll see if I can get Nextcloud installed over there, see what it works. And that's built on Rocky Linux. So there's Linux for non-idiots, but the idiots make it illegal. Yeah, some of them are trying to. As a software dev, I hit Control S. Oh, I missed the rest of that. My mouse rolled. I hit Control S a lot. There you go. Yep. Software developer hit Control S a lot.
Yeah, I do that too.
Compulsive saver. Let's see. I know better with Kden Live, but still forget to save often. At least Kden Live, if it crashes, it usually brings the thing back. Usually. But yeah, saving on Kden Live is good. I wish they had an auto save function, but they don't. Let's see. I had an issue more than a decade ago, bought a few songs for me, and Apple wanted me to install their player to download them. I told the person at the help desk didn't either program to convert them to MP3. I was on 7 at the time. Yeah, actually, when the first person that bought stuff that wasn't tech savvy bought MP3s, they contacted Apple, and Apple tried to sell them a plan to play the MP3s that she just bought. So welcome to Apple.
Apple switched to their own format because they didn't want to pay the licensing fee for MP3s.
Yeah, there's this thing called FLAC.
Yeah, and but for the last 2 years, I think, or maybe 3 years, the last MP3 patent expired.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. I remember.
And the way that the Fraunhofer Institute that owned the patents dealt with this was they removed all contents from their MP3 patent website, and said to everyone that MP3s this is the condensed version, but MP3s are obsolete. There are newer formats that are better used, and they pointed to a few other formats that was also patented. So instead of telling everyone that everyone was free to use MP3 for whatever they wanted, they were saying that stop using MP3 because it's obsolete.
Yeah, MP3s are obsolete, all right.
Yeah, because of the patent expired.
Yeah,
I fail to see the logic in that, especially if you use a pretty hefty bit rate. You got good results with it.
And one of the things that happened immediately a few weeks after the patent expired was that Fedora immediately added support for MP3 playback or encoding.
As they should. Ridiculous, would you consider doing a video on Nextcloud for Linux at some point? My biggest business has dug deep in the O365 Teams Microsoft ecosystem. There is actually a one-click solution for this. It's called Nextcloud AIO, all in one. Which you can get on a DigitalOcean droplet. And I think the minimum one we got to work on was the $18 a month droplet. But it does, that all-in-one replaces that whole system. I'll have to build another one. We were looking at doing some stuff with it down the road, but I'm not sure if we're going to. So there were some advantages and disadvantages of that movement, but basically on you can go into DigitalOcean, you can create a new droplet. I'd go with like the 36 or something. I'd go a little bit higher than the minimum it will run on, but that should run just fine on like a smaller team, depending on how big your team is. But that system has built into it the full Nextcloud. It has the full Talk plugin with the Spreed application. It has the Calibora plugin, so LibreOffice works as just like Google Docs would work, or in this case, Office 365 Online. All that stuff is configured out of the box. It basically does all of those things that the Microsoft system does, and it takes maybe an hour to install. So yeah, maybe we could do another one of those at some point in time just to see. But might actually make a pretty good video, because that is a new thing. Like my Nextcloud, I got rid of my Calibora server because it was costing me an extra $5 a month, and I almost never used it. So I just use my Nextcloud for simply sharing and syncing files that have to be online, or just as an online archive for my writing stuff where I might need to access it. So, but yeah. Designation airport of the baggage system is STL. Ooh. See, I have my own airport baggage system. That's how big I am. And I just hope Sam Brenton's not stealing from it.
Yeah, the STL, that's an airport code.
I stopped watching Linus. It was getting anti-Linux, and he lied about the concrete-cooled CPU, used chocolate milk, and lied. What? Did he cool a computer with chocolate milk? That's epic.
Yeah, he threw it into a closed loop.
Okay, well. When it spoils, it's going to burst that loop.
Yeah.
I think they tried toothpaste too.
Linus makes videos for the iPod generation with ADD. Well, I mean, yeah, and that's probably why he's so big. For a tech guy, he isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Me and Gamers Nexus are pretty good. I'll have to watch some of Gamers Nexus videos, see if I can get some tips going. We have Bodie Nelson over there on Rumble, just giving me a bunch of emoji stuff. So, greetings over there. Is that a Rumble skull and crossbones? That's kind of cool. All right, it's moving. All right, over on the Tubi chat, let's check in. How many we got on the Tubies? We got 21 over on the Tubies. Let's see if anybody sees any comments you want to read. I don't have to monopolize the whole thing. Title sounds like something I rail against on a regular basis. Amen to that. I don't think tech should be super hard to use, but I don't think it should be so dumbed down people don't know how to do a simple task. Yeah, like add an MP3 file to your phone, or something like I don't know, read an ebook without having to go through the Amazon. Okay, bad kitty. Yeah, the kitty's got to leave the White House. They didn't catch him the first time. That's why he's just sly. He evaded all those cameras. I only want 3 things in a car: a heater, an AC unit, and it gets me from point A to point B. There you go. Oh,
I
and
like
coffee.
Kevin's comment just above that. He has a theory about allergies. It's an allergy.
Yeah.
Okay, good theory about allergies. It is indeed an allergy. All right. First draft of my political opinions book is complete. Now to edit and add. There you go. Smash that like button with a hammer. Thank you, Moonbase.
Wham.
Please, Moonbase, don't take me to your leader.
Yeah, I've always wanted
get
to
sniffed.
comment on people on YouTubers who say that you should smash the like button. Please don't do that, because if you smash the button, you cannot push it ever again, because you have to get a new one.
Yeah, you'll break it. You might break your monitor. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do.
You break your finger.
Yeah, there you go. One person says gingerly tap the like button. How's that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a lot
Commodore
safer.
Fan 64 says iGarbage. Libre Writer auto saves, but I still save a backup. Yep, Libre Writer does auto save. I auto-saved. I've been writing for about an hour every morning for a while now. It's been very good. I mean, I've been like this week. I've gotten out of writing a little bit. I've been putting so much of my time into into preparing for the teaching stuff I was doing, and maybe a little bit as I'm finding it's a little bit harder to find that there's much time to write in the van, but I'm just kind of forcing it. I got into this thing when I was on BLM land. I have a little tiny table back here. I get into BLM land, I can just get out there, pull up the little table, sit outside the van and write in the desert, get bit by rattlesnakes and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, over the last few months, I spent much less time in front of the computer because it's summer's short here. Mm-hmm. You get about 4 months of good summer outside, just soak it in, and it's back to doom and gloom for 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hopefully I'll have some more audio stuff to listen to when we get those new science fiction stuff up. But if you guys have any other ideas, I'll tell you the next idea that I have. There is now some discussion about creating a law forcing everyone to have smart thermostats so that the power companies can control how hot your house is. I can have fun with that.
Over my chilled skeleton.
That's a good new one.
Yeah, I have to figure out what type of story I'm going to do with that one.
Could get you.
But I'll keep the first story mostly a secret for now. Kent's Tech World was created to purposely irritate Linuxers. Oh yeah, I don't know. He seems a little ADD. Like I try to watch a few of his shows, but he drops like an F-bomb like every 3 words. I'm just like,
there's no calling for that.
Yeah, it's like
what's that?
There's no call for that.
Yeah, I know.
Even once in a while, I'll throw out an F-bomb, but I really try to restrict myself on screen.
Yeah. Like I'm not offended. There's the Christian mad at the swear words. I'm not that, but it's just like every other word. It's just a bad word. It's like shut up. It's like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know because sometimes he was doing some pro Linux. I think his last couple of videos I saw were I don't know. What were they?
Louis Rossman, he likes to use the F-bomb every other sentence on his video.
He does too, but at least like the way he's doing it, he comes off as more tactful when he does it.
Yeah.
It's like more New Yorkish.
They're more well placed.
Yeah, and Linus Tech Tips, they actually have a beep button that cuts the sound and features a beep when he needs to use the F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and again he forgets to push it.
After watching for so many years, I feel if I go to New York, I have to talk on the street with the F-bomb for every sentence.
Well, he's in Texas now, so
Yeah.
He's teaching it to the Texans.
Yeah.
Die Master over on Twitch says, and when I bought my first iPad while visiting Japan, I got hit with DRM. As soon as I got home in the States, I discovered I started using Kazaa. All right. Yeah. It's exciting. No activity over on DLive. I'm not sure if DLive exists. It's streaming. I just don't. I don't know if anyone's over there because they changed their system. I can't see how many. If there's less than 5 people, I can't see how many. The New York baby's first word is the F-bomb.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we are past 8, and I think we're at the bottom of all the comments. So I think we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Let's as long as my Christian video has finished processing, I'll go ahead and put the link for it. Yes, there it is. So we will be premiering that in about an hour. Amos chapter 4, if anybody's interested in such content. If not, of course, just join us here tomorrow at 8 p.m. For the weekly news roundup, which is exactly 23 hours and 56 minutes from now. You can join us 8 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time, and we will do the weekly news roundup. It looks like it's going to be a good show. I haven't looked at all of the news yet, but I've looked at enough of it to know it looks like a great week. And finally back to a somewhat normal schedule. Well, I'm watching a dog right now, but that's not normal schedule, but we're getting there. Let's see. Any final stuff? No final stuff over here. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. You're supposed to say skull.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.